Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, we are back with another episode, chapter 31. Let's get into it. We'll do a little recap. Remember, chapter 30 was just pretty much about, um, I guess I'll zoom into here. Pretty much remember Jacob and his now four wives. Two, you could say, kind of official, and the other two were by, because their wives wanted him to, pretty much. Or like mini wives. I don't know, whatever you want to say, but pretty much his wives. His entire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 children. Um, and then we got into uh, Laban and Jacob. So Laban is the mother of Leah and Rachel, talking about plans of separating. What's a fair deal? How can we make a new covenant? And so here we are. Um, so without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Chapter 31. Now Jacob heard that the sons of Laban were saying, Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has gained all his wealth. So pretty much saying, because remember last chapter they made an agreement saying, look, Jacob can keep every single sheep and goat that has spots, and every black lamb, and you keep the other ones. Because Jacob's been working with his father for you know close to 14 years now, if not 14 years now. 7 years for Leah, 7 years for Rachel. And so now Laban, he's been working for Laban and his land on his property with his people. And Laban's a very wealthy man, right? Thanks to Jacob helping him. And obviously Jacob's blessed by God, so whoever blesses Jacob will be blessed. So after they made that agreement, you know, Jacob started hearing from Laban's kids. It says right here, his kids are becoming a little bit envious and jealous, saying, "Look, he's taking all of our things, our father's things. From what was our father's, he has gained all his wealth." Meaning, as in Jacob's only, uh, all the wealth that Jacob has now is because of our dad. And so Jacob heard that, and um, Jacob saw that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. So probably, look, after they made that agreement, you know, and after hearing his sons saying that Jacob took all of our dad's wealth, and he only got that because of our dad. And he started to notice that Laban did not regard him as favorable as before. So before he's probably like lovey dovey, how you doing? My son-in-law, anything you need, I got you. And so I could imagine probably after that agreement, it became like a switch where he was really distant from him, probably not respect him as much, probably didn't treat him as he was before, and that's what Laban's saying. So then the Lord said to Jacob, quote, "Return to the land of your fathers," which is Isaac, and the father of Isaac is Abraham, or Abraham, yeah, "and to your kindred," meaning as in your blood, "and I will be with you." So probably look, Jacob wanted to leave. Jacob already had an agreement with Laban how to separate his flock from his flock, so that way whenever he does go, he knows what to take from him. He's hearing his sons saying bad things about Jacob, and then boom, the Lord came to Jacob saying, "Look, go back to your land, go back to your blood, go back to your people, go back to your father's land, and I'm gonna be with you." So we're starting to get into the next chapter of like Jacob's getting ready to leave, and even the Lord is telling him, right? So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah into the field where his flock was, and said to them, quote, "I see that your father does not regard me with favor as he did before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength. I've given everything I could." Is what he's telling her. "Yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times, but God did not permit him to harm me. If he said, the spotted shall be your wages, then all the flock bore spotted. And if he said, then striped shall be your wages, then all the flock bore striped. Thus God has taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. In the mating season of the flock, I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that the he goats, which leaped upon the flock, were striped, spotted, and mottled. And the angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob, and I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift up your eyes and see, all the goats that leap upon the flock are striped, spotted, and mottled. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you appointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now arise, go forth from this land, and return to the land of your birth. So, pretty much summarizing it, it's pretty much saying that, he brought Leah and Rachel to the field, and he told them, "Look, I know your dad doesn't really like me as he did before, probably because I said I want to leave, and your dad has also cheated me." Because I think it's in this chapter. I think it was in last chapter too. I don't remember, but pretty much, Jacob. I think it was last chapter. So remember, Laban, after they made that agreement, saying, "Look, every black lamb and every goat and sheep that has spots on them, he's actually sent them away to his son. Said, look, I'm giving them to you now, and you leave here 3 days marching. Like however long it takes you 3 days to get to this one spot, is how far I want you to be. I want you to be 3 days away from where we are, so that way Jacob couldn't take them. So he's cheating him. That's what Jacob's saying, is that your dad doesn't respect me anymore, or it doesn't see me as favorable as he did before, and he's also cheating me for my wages on the agreement that we had. But he said that, look, God's with me. And remember, at the end of the last chapter, Jacob looked around and was like, damn, look, his dad cheated me out. He took all the animals that I was supposed to take with me. So I'm gonna have to wait until the mating season after they're done and have their children, to hope spotted sheep and goats come back. And so he did that trick where there's little sticks where they mated, and so and it came fruitful, right? It says right there. It says, oh my goodness, let me see. In the mating season, right here, verse 10. In the mating season of the flock, I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that the he goats were leaped upon the flock, were striped, spotted, and mottled. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob, and I said, here I am. And he said, lift up your eyes and see, all the goats that leap upon the flock are striped, spotted, and mottled. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. So it's just saying, look, I saw that Laban took those animals that were supposed to be yours. So in the next mating season, now all the animals have all striped. What does it say? Striped, spotted, and mottled. So pretty much like the Lord seeing his situation, he know that he's trying to do him wrong, and I blessed you. Now all the animals have the markings that you can keep. And so that's what he's telling Leah and Rachel this. And so then it says, then Rachel and Leah answered him, is there any portion of inheritance left to us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has been using up the money given for us. All the property which God has taken away from our father belongs to us and our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do. So pretty much Leah and Rachel got their man's back, you could say. They got their husbands back. And they see that what their father's doing. And and she's like, look, doesn't, like right there, is there any portion of inheritance left to us in our father's house? Meaning it's like, look, he's taking all the stuff that we're supposed to be with, right? Because now Leah and Rachel are married to Jacob, so they want Jacob to do good, because that means they do good. So they're pretty much have Jacob's back, And he says, now then, whatever God has said to you, you do it, right? We're your wives, we listen to you. So Jacob arose and set his sons and his wives on camels, and he drove away all his cattle, all his livestock which he had gained, the cattle in his possession which he had acquired in Padaram or Haran, to go to the land of Canaan, because that's where his dad's at. That's where he was raised at, to his father Isaac. Laban had gone to shear his sheep, meaning as in like to shave off the wool from his sheep. Yeah, so he'd gone to go do that, to cut off the wool for the sheep. I lost my place. I'm sorry. Yeah, and Rachel stole her father's household gods. So meaning as in like Rachel probably saw all the stuff that her dad was doing to her husband Jacob, didn't like it, and so she stole her father's household gods, which I think I have a little notes in here. I think in Hebrew it's called teraphim, okay, and that means household gods in Hebrew, and it's pretty much just little, you can think of it as like sculptures or ornaments of their gods, because you'll quickly realize that there's no Bible at this time, and so it's easy for us to hear the word of God because we're reading it, but at that time, they couldn't listen to the gospel. They couldn't listen to there was no Catholic Church. There was no Bible, Old Testament, New Testament yet. People are just kind of living, and they're hearing, from generations of generations of generations of what was, right. So they don't really know. So there's a lot of, like, I guess I could say, like, there's a lot of different beliefs going on around the world. And so I guess in Haran they have their own gods and their own beliefs. And so Rachel stole her father's household gods. Um, and keep in mind, this was not, I don't this was not, sculptures of Jesus Christ. This is just other gods that they would worship. But she knew that he liked that stuff, so he was mad. She was mad at her dad for what he did to Jacob, what he was doing to him, and so she stole his household gods. And Jacob outwitted, so he outsmarted Laban, the Aramean, in that he did not tell him that he intended to flee. So Jacob was like, "Look, your dad's doing me wrong. I'm getting all my cattle, all my livestock, putting all my wives and children on camels, and I'm getting ready to leave, and I'm not telling Laban." He fled with all that he had and arose and crossed the Euphrates and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. So remember, they're over here. I have a little map right here. Right here, they're in Haran, and he crossed the Euphrates. And it says, and he set his face toward the hill county of Gilead, which is right over here. So his goal was to come over here. He was probably in that direction over here, and they said that he just crossed the Euphrates. Let me back up. If I get to 400% on there, it doesn't, it lags. So yeah, so pretty much. Let me go back one. Yeah, 150. So they're in Haran. They pass the Euphrates River, and they're headed toward Gilead. So when it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, because remember, Laban took all the animals that were supposed to be for Jacob and sent them to his son and said, "Go 3 days away from here." So whenever Jacob and all his people left, it took him 3 days for Laban to figure out that they left. So when it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, he took his kindred, meaning his sons, his blood, with him and pursued him for 7 days and followed close after him into the hill country of Gilead, which means right over here. Right over here. So they followed him over here. It took him 7 days. 3 days to get to the news, to get to Laban that your daughters and everybody left. And then it took him another 7 days. So it's 10 days total, I guess, from whenever Jacob left to whenever they met him. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night and said to him, "Take heed that you say not a word to Jacob, either good or bad." So he's pretty much telling him, the Lord came to him in a dream and said, "Be very smart in how you handle Jacob." And Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen encamped in the hill country of Gilead. So pretty much they got out to him and they found him. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done that you have cheated me and carried away my daughters like captives of the sword?" So he's saying, like, what are you doing to me? You're taking, you didn't tell me you were leaving. You cheated me. And you took my daughters captives, Why did you flee secretly and cheat me and did not tell me so that I might have sent you away with mirth and songs, with tambourine and lie? So pretty much like you should have told me. We could have had a feast. We could have had a party. We could have celebrated you leaving. And why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? How now you have done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, "Take heed." So pretty much, yeah. So pretty much, he's pissed. He's like, "Why have you done this to me? What you did was stupid." But he's saying, "Look, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, take heed that you speak to Jacob, neither good nor bad. And now you have gone away because you longed greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods?" So pretty much, doesn't like, look, I get why you wanted to leave. You haven't been home in a while. But why did you take what I value sacred? Why did you take my gods, my little ornaments from my house? From the ones from Rachel stole. But Jacob answered Laban, "Because I was afraid, for I thought that you would have taken your daughters from me by force." So meaning is, like, I didn't tell you because I was afraid that you were going to just take your daughters and you were going to let me leave with them. "And anyone with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of our kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours and take it." So meaning as in, like, because this signifies that Jacob didn't know that Rachel stole her father's gods. So he's saying, look, so Laban's king, and you did everything that wrong. I didn't like how you did it. And on top of that, you took my gods. You're embarrassing me. You're disrespecting me. And so Jacob didn't know that Rachel took Laban's gods. So he said, anyone that you find with your gods, I'm going to kill them. They shall not live no more. In the presence, everybody's looking at us, in the presence of our blood, point out what I have that is yours and take it. So now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, like into his little house, and into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the two maidservants, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's. Now remember, Rachel's the one that took him. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them in the camel's saddle and sat upon them. So pretty much meaning as in they're on the saddle of the camel that she's on, and she has them, and she's sitting on them. Laban felt all about the tent, but did not find them. So pretty much meaning as in like he went to everybody's belongings in their own little small tents, and he didn't find anything. And she said to her father, "Let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise before you, for the way of woman is upon me." Meaning as in like, look, I don't like how you're treating the situation. I don't like how you're doing it. But I'm not going to do anything on you because, I'm a woman. That's not what a woman does. So he searched but did not find the household gods. So after that happened, after all that talk, right, by Laban, then Jacob became very angry and upbraided Laban. Jacob said to Laban, "What is my offense? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Although you have felt through all my goods, what you have found of all your household goods, set it here before me, before my kinsmen and your kinsmen, that they may decide between us." Putting as in like, look, you went through all of our stuff, everything that you have, put it right here before our kinsmen, put it right here before my blood and your blood, that they may decide between us which ones are going to go to. And he's saying, this is still Jacob telling Laban, "These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your she-goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten from the rams of your flock." Meaning as in like, I've been with you for 20 years. I've been taking care of your animals, your goats, good, and I have not eaten the ram of your flock. I haven't eaten your animals. I only eat my animals. That which was torn by wild beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss to it by myself. Pretty much meaning as like, I guess like if there's a coyote or animals that steal from the flock, he made sure that it wasn't from Laban's. If it was, he just gave him one of his, so he wouldn't be without an animal. Of my hand you require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was. By day the heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac, have not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God saw my affliction and the labor of my hands and rebuked you last night. So pretty much meaning as in like, look, I've served you loyally, faithfully, righteously, and very good and honest for the past 20 years. And you try to cheat me, you try to lie to me, and you try to take your animals away from me. He's like, if you have any doubt that the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac is not on my side, now you know now. Because if I didn't have my God with me and blessing me, you would have taken everything away from me. And you would have just used me this past 20 years. And so after that speech, right, Laban and Jacob make a covenant. It says, "Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day to these my daughters, or to their children, whom they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, and you and I, and let it be witness between you and me." So pretty much meaning as in like, like I know my daughters are my daughters, and their children are also my children by definition, by extent. Your flocks are technically my flocks, but you've helped me out a lot. So let's make a deal. It's like, okay, you know what? I hear you. You're right. Let's make a deal. Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. A pillar like as in like, I can look it up real quick. Pillar. Look, he took up stones and set it up like a pillar like this. Let's go back. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, okay, the people that were with him, "Gather stones, everybody." And they took stones and made a heap, meaning as in like a heap is like a pile of stones meant for So pretty much imagine like they got stones and they've set it up like a memorial, like a pillar. They try to make it as high as it could be, right? And it was a sign. It was meant for a memorial, or also at that time it's still meant to make a meaning a new covenant. They're getting stones and they're setting it up as a pillar, as a means to symbolize a new covenant, a new agreement. And they took stones and made a heap, and that's what a heap is. It's like a bunch of stones, like in a pillar. And they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Shadud. No, Laban called it Jegar Shaduda, but Jacob called it Galid. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." Therefore he named it Galid, and the pillar of Mizpah, for he said, "The Lord watch between you and me, when we are absent one from another. If you ill treat my daughters, or if you take wives beside my daughters, although no man is with us, remember God is the witness between you and me." So whenever they were eating and talking, there was nobody around them, and they were just saying, "Look, we're gonna make this deal. We're gonna make this deal, and the gods are watching us, making sure we keep our word." And he's saying, "Look, don't treat my daughters bad, and don't take anybody else as a wife but my daughters." Then Laban said to Jacob, "See this heap and the pillar, uh, which I have set between you and me. This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me for harm." So pretty much meaning as in like, look, I'm not gonna follow you and cause you harm and mess with you. Don't cross this and mess with me and take my things. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us. So that kind of that kind of means as in like, look, it's kind of go back to what I was saying, is like kind of the waters on all over the place when it comes to what God is what and what believing. It says the God of Abraham, which is obviously, as we know, Yahweh, God Himself, and the God of Nahor. Remember, Laban lives in Nahor, so I guess Laban, remember his little sculptures, meaning as in like my household gods. He has his own gods who he worships. Now we know it's wrong; it's not a true God. But it goes to show that, like in this time, you know, because there wasn't like a Bible and people out there preaching the word of God, people just kind of believed anything, right? But this is the whole point of this story and how we're getting to what, and it's becoming the Old Testament, right? But yeah, so the God of Abraham, which is the God of Jacob, and the God of Nahor, which is Laban's gods, and the God of their father judge between us. So meaning as in like, look, we're going to keep this pact. We're going to stay true to our word, as the gods of your God and the gods of my God are seeing us. Says judge between us, right? So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac, and Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called his kinsmen to eat bread, and they ate bread and tarried all night on the mountain. Meaning as like if you go to the Greek version, because tarried means tarried right here means stayed or slept in the mountain all night. And if you go to the Greek version, 54, okay, so I like to go from the Greek. I like to go from the English, the Greek, and the Hebrew. It kind of gives me a good idea on what they're talking about. Next page of this chapter. Next page of this chapter. Bear with me, boys, bear with me. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac, and he gained in the mountain. And he offered a sacrifice in the mountain and called his brethren. And they ate and drank and slept in the mountain. Okay, so pretty much tarried, meaning as in like they slept in the mountain all night. So early in the morning, Laban arose and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he departed and returned home. So they made an agreement. And they just said, we're going to go home. We're going to separate. And so, let me see. Household gods, tarried. Yeah. So I guess that's pretty much it, guys, for the chapter. I guess, yeah, that's the biggest thing is just, Jacob is on his way, right? Going back home. There's a little bit of beef between there with Laban and Jacob. A lot of tension. They didn't really know how to figure out how to separate exactly because, there's, keep in mind, like, at that time, Jacob or Laban owned everything, right? But he had a lot of stuff. He was a very wealthy man. And so being able to come to agreement, make a new covenant, make a pact on separating peacefully as can be was the biggest part of the story. But yeah, so remember he was in Haran. He crossed the Euphrates. He's over here in Gilead. So you can see it, Gilead. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the chapter, guys. So now Jacob's on his way back home finally back to his kinsman. It's been like what 20 years now, right? It's been over there for 20 years. Um, and so we'll see what happens whenever he's on his way back home. What's gonna happen? Um, what's the next steps? Come back next episode for chapter 32. Hope you guys like it. Hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.